The title of the Ketchup Vampires definitely caught my attention. I had never heard of this. I found it randomly when I was looking at things on Letterboxd, and I was kind of curious. I'm not that bothered about vampire things, not even cartoons, but it sounded a little bit different. And honestly, I didn't like it. And I'm very, very surprised to see that it's got 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a phenomenal rating. Although it is worth noting that that's across 33 reviews and ratings. So it's not the biggest pool of opinions, but it does seem to be, well, from the reviews that I've read online and on Letterboxd, it seems to be something that's very nostalgic for people. I'm not viewing this with nostalgia because I've never seen it, never heard of it. I'm definitely reviewing it as an adult watching it for the first time. An adult who loves cartoons, I should point out. This was released originally in 1995. It's directed by Alexander Zaplito, and it also includes the voice of Cassandra Peterson as Elvira, which is pretty awesome. I'm a big Elvira fan. And the animation is about a family of vegetarian vampires, which I thought was a pretty interesting story. Vegetarian vampires, how do they get their energy source? Obviously, it doesn't go too deep into it, it's very much aimed at a younger audience. And the family of more traditional vampires and how the two collide, and it sounds like it could be interesting. And I guess if you love vampire stories it might appeal. There are some vampire based things that I don't mind, but this sounded like it was going to be kind of quirky, and honestly it lost its appeal pretty quickly. The direction it took was too fantasy rather than gothic, for example. And I definitely prefer, when I do like my vampires, I prefer them to be dark and mysterious rather than magical, if that makes sense. So it's not necessarily the fault of the cartoon that I didn't like it, but I will also say it was just very, very slow. I was really surprised that this was a feature film. The whole thing is about an hour and 20, an hour and 30 minutes, and it drags on a lot. Some of the characters are okay, some of them are a little bit interesting, but I didn't find any of them to be overly fascinating. I certainly wasn't emotionally invested in any of the characters' journeys. The animation style is quite nice. Visually, I think the animation is really attractive, really appealing. The music is pretty good, the voice acting is good. It does tick some boxes, but for me, I just found the narrative to be really boring, very slow, and not really my kind of thing as well. So part of it is the film's fault with pacing and perhaps a bit of the narrative structure. Part of it is down to personal preference. With that in mind, if you do like vampire things a lot, then I'd say it's worth checking out, as I think there will be a lot of things that appeal to you. If you're just looking for a good story, then I don't think this is one that's worth looking at. So, depending on what you want, it might appeal. But for me personally, while I was looking forward to something that was a little bit different, it didn't really live up to my already pretty small expectations. But the animation quality is good, and the music is okay, and the characters are absolutely fine. So, not terrible, but certainly not what I was hoping it would be.